Good day, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to another technical summary video presented by me, Letty Janse van Vuren. My topic for today is all about drafting an MOI. And the reason why I chose this as a topic is because I found very useful guidance that can help you to draft an MOI. Right, so I'm going to give you those resources in this video. I'm going to start off by looking at why this is important, going through a quick introduction, and then looking at an overview of the publications. What does it consist of? You'll see the little picture there says Mastering the Drafting of MOIs. And those of you that know Contract Ninja will know that that's their little picture man. That's their little avatar that they use. I'm going to also then take you through a quick contents of each article. And then lastly, I'll give you the links to the source documents. Right. It's a very good idea, especially for when you have to provide that for your clients, deciding whether or not to take the standard MOI or customize it into any certain way. But the MOI for today stands for Memorandum of Incorporation. Why is this relevant to us as auditors? Well, we know we've got the Companies Act that your clients must comply with. If they're a company or a CC, they've got to comply with the Companies Act. And if they don't, then you've got certain reporting obligations in terms of NOCLAR. And secondly, your company secretarial staff play a very critical role in bridging this gap between the entities and assisting them on how to comply with the Companies Act, like, for example, drafting an MOI. So it's very important that your secretarial staff and you as an auditor, an independent reviewer, an accountant, a practitioner, even as a client, you have to stay up to date and informed of interesting and useful guidance. And specifically like these articles here, because it can help you to meet your compliance obligations in terms of the MOI. So as part of an introduction, this was posted on the Go Legal website, which I subscribe to their newsletters and stuff. So they published some useful guidance on drafting an MOI in respect of provisions relating to directors and to shareholders. And it consists of 3 online articles that are written in an example format. You'll see everything they do here, you'll be able to trace it back to other company secretarial issues as well. But the character that they use as an example to illustrate is Derek. Derek is busy now drafting a new MOI for their company called Vector AI. So he's busy drafting a new MOI, and this is what he considers, what he needs to go through, what does he know about? Oh, there's got to be how many shareholders, what's the minimum, what's the maximum, what's the quorum, what does he need to consider? Right. So everything in green are basically the examples. So there are lots of other useful guides and articles also available from Contract Ninja, and you can find them at this link, Go Legal Publishers Contract Ninja. Very, very useful here. So I think it's always nice to have additional resources, and these certainly are written in such a way that it's not legalese. Okay, so that's why I thoroughly enjoy these. The publications, as you can see, they Go Legal. They go for the legal industry news and insight, partnering with Contract Ninja. So they published these 3 articles in January this year, consisting of the 3 main parts. Part 1 and 2 is consisting of a guide to drafting provisions relating to directors. There's a part 1, and then part 2 deals specifically with a focus on board meetings. Part 1 relates to directors, part 2 directors, and then board meetings. Then the third part is a guide to drafting provisions relating to shareholders. So let's quickly go and look at the contents of each one. So in this first one, in part 1 of the Director's Guide, in drafting the new MOI for Vector AI, Derek must consider whether the default provided under the Companies Act best fits the company, or if a modified approach would better serve Vector AI's needs. And this decision will then play a crucial role in shaping the governance and the future direction that the company is going to follow. That will help to know, am I going to take the standard default that the Companies Act has provided, or do I need to go and customize it? So these contents here talks about each one of these in detail, and they talk about what you need to consider. They talk about minimum and maximum number of directors, ex officio directors, appointed directors, who can appoint the directors, okay? The shareholders can appoint like 50% of the directors, I think. There are also then elected directors, which is the rest. Ineligibility and disqualification of directors, temporary vacancies and alternate directors, and then they come up with a conclusion as well. So it's very interesting to see the level of detail they go in. And like I said, Derek's problems are plentiful, and they explain it very nicely to Derek as to what he needs to consider. Part 2 now talks about the MOI that plays a pivotal role in defining the nuances of board meetings, the voting procedures, and how very difficult that is sometimes, and what the extent is of the board's powers. So they've got Kevin as well here, and as Kevin's insights illuminate, there's another guy here called Kevin. The board is central to the company's decision making, but the MOI provides an opportunity to tailor those dynamics to the company's unique needs. So the contents of the ones relating specifically to the board meetings is calling board meetings, and then they talk about things like the number of directors that need to be present, the notice period, the how it gets sent out, the notices, the quorum that must be available, and so forth, venues, notices of board meetings, voting at the board meetings, powers of the board, and then lastly also a small little conclusion. So these are really, really short little guides. It's about, I'd say, if you had to copy and paste, about 2 pages or so, not a lot, but definitely succinct. Right. Then, in the next phase of Derek's journey, he now faces the pivotal task that sits at the core of Vector AI's corporate governance. He's got to draft the MOI relating to shareholders. So Derek then goes through to his university textbooks, and he remembers that there was a crucial distinction between directors and shareholders. And that's why I thought it good to put these three together for you to consider the MOI. Part 1 and Part 2 on directors and directors meetings or board meetings, and this one, Part 3, as part of your shareholders that you must consider. And in terms of the shareholder meetings, the contents here, they once again talk about location, the notice period, the quorum, and all sorts in terms of the shareholders meeting. Then they talk about voting at the meetings, proxies and special resolutions and special votes and all sorts. Right. The conclusion they say here is navigating the nuances of shareholders meetings, voting rights, proxies, and special resolutions. Derek's role extends beyond mere legal counsel to that of a strategic architect. He's literally shaping the foundations upon which Vector AI's corporate decisions will rest in future. And I think a lot of people miss this because the MOI, it's like, okay, it's just a standard document. We just leave it like that. And you've got to actually go through this strategic architecture session to see whether or not you need to re-engineer some of it. All right, so these three together will give you enough guidance on how to draft a proper MOI. The online guidance, there we go. That's the part 1, part 2, and then the one on shareholders. Those are your 3 links that I've provided to you there. If you have more questions or you need more detail on this, please feel free to go and have a look at all the options available on the Knowledge is Power slide. We do have the technical alerts that I compile the technical content for, and SAAA then posts that on a daily basis on LinkedIn. You can also find the same alert or the same news update under the news section on the SAAA website if you want to do that on a daily basis, but it's easier just on LinkedIn. And then SAAA's YouTube channel, please feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's the link to the YouTube channel. And on the YouTube channel, you will also be able to access all of my TSVs. I've done hundreds of these. They're short little 10, 15-minute summaries that you can access whenever you want to. And please go and have a look at the topics. I mean, there's a lot in terms of company secretarial, in terms of auditing, tax, accounting, legal, you name it. All right, there's quite a bit of of FICA items in there. There's stuff specifically for auditors. Very nice. Okay. The webinar on demand, you can also go and have a look. This is where we ran either a live event or we just recorded a 2 or a 4 hour session. And if you go and purchase this, you can then get the recordings at your own leisure. All right. You can listen to it. You get the slides, the source documents, and so forth. And then last but not least, the MCLU subscription. That is the monthly compliance and legislation updates that we present. And that is how the majority of people in South Africa stay up to date on all the latest developments in our field, is by attending that. All right. I think in January I had about 300 people, 300 plus on my MCLU webinar. So it's invaluable. I mean, if I hadn't needed to do all the research to be able to compile the MCLU, I certainly wouldn't be as up to date. I mean, you know how we get flooded with all the emails and stuff. Nobody's got time to read all of that. Me now, I've made the decision to make it my problem. So please refer to the SAAA website there for any further subscription options. But that, ladies and gentlemen, in a nutshell, is the guidance that I found for you on helping you to customize and draft an MOI. I trust you enjoyed the short technical video with me. Thank you and goodbye.